with leucovorin suddenly shot up in the news, I wanted to do a longer video sharing because I'm one of probably not that many moms of autistic children out there who already has experience with my son taking leucovorin. So in this video, I wanted to share just my personal experience, and I want to caveat that this is not medical advice. This is my experience, what I've noticed, our journey, so that hopefully it can just give you some information. This might be very new information for you, and I know anytime I've been given new information about autism, I'm always doing all my research and all of that. So I just wanted to give you a personal experience so that you can then go and do your own research. Before I get fully into just our experience, I wanted to give a little overview of what leucovorin or folinic acid actually is and how it was described to me. Again, not a medical professional, so I'm going to be very brief in my explanation and just share my understanding of it, which my understanding is it's caused by folate receptor alpha antibodies. I'm looking at my notes here. According to MD, I'm going to just hold my notes so that I am saying this right. Okay, so according to MDPI, Journal of Personalized Medicine, the prevalence of some type of deficiency, and I'll talk about the two types that cause it, was 71% in their study. And there were similar numbers in various studies, were around like 60 to 70% of the autistic population has some version of folate not being able to fully make it to the brain. Within this test, there are two types. So there's blocking and binding. The blocking kind is even worse for folate deficiency. So it prevents folate from crossing into the brain. And then the binding kind reduces receptor availability and can cause inflammation, which reduces the transport efficiency of folate. So between both of those types, whether it's one or both, that study that I mentioned from MDPI, Journal of Personalized Medicine, has got 71% of the autistic population had one or the other or both. So folate, as a lot of us know, is hugely important for the brain. That's one of the main things. Folic acid is what they say is so important to take during pregnancy for the development of your child's brain and spinal cord. And so it makes sense that if your body is not fully able to process folate, that would make it hard for your brain. And so this was explained to me. I was seeing a nurse practitioner that specializes in care for autistic children. So that's where, before this much more nationwide announcement came out, she was a little bit ahead on the research. So that's where I was able to hear about this. So she told me about it and said, I'm willing to prescribe this, but also encouraged me to look into it for myself. And I looked into it, and the studies that exist on it are fairly small. And so that's something, if you're looking into it yourself, know that ahead of time. This is not something that has been researched for years and years and years, showing it has this positive impact for 100% of kids. Just know that as you're researching it. It's small studies and it's promising studies. For me, that was enough to go ahead and try it. So let me tell you about my experience personally, a little background for my son. He is 4.5 years old. We were quite sure he was autistic before he even turned 2. We weren't able to get his official diagnosis till he was 34, almost 3. And at the time he got diagnosed, he was considered level 3 severe, but only by 1 point. So he's kind of on the cusp of what is considered level 2, level 3. And he's also very young. And so we don't know where ultimately he would land on the spectrum. But just to give a little background, because as we know, the spectrum is so huge and there's people with such different experiences personally and for their own children. So he primarily has been using echolalia to communicate. So that's where not really conversational language. Like if I asked him what his favorite color was, how was your day? What did you have for breakfast? He is not at this time able to answer those questions. But if he wants something, he might ask it as a question the way we've asked him. So if we say, "Do you want cereal?" and that's what he's heard us say, to request cereal, he'll say, "Do you want cereal?" That's his primary mode of communication is echolalia. It's going to be different for someone who has a child who's never spoken a word. So that was kind of our starting place. That's just what I want to share so that it's not like this completely going from this child who's never spoken a word to what he's doing now. So the improvements we're seeing, we've been taking it for about 2 months at this point, and I saw improvement very quickly, probably quicker than science would say you see improvement. So wishful thinking, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't the only one who saw it. I had other family members who absolutely noted it. So the things that were noteworthy very quickly, before even there was specific language change, this is what I noticed in my personal experience. Okay. Within a few days, he almost just woke up a little bit. I don't know how else to describe it. He never had problems completely with eye contact. He would give us some level of eye contact, but what shifted was when he looked at us, his eyes were just a little brighter. It's kind of like he saw us a little bit more directly. And that's what I would say. There's a few major changes. So one, since then, it's grown more. Now it's been 2 months. There's been more time for this to get in his system and have some positive impact. So he's more interactive with the entire family, and he's starting to have at least some spontaneous language. So the ability to answer certain questions where he's been prompted on what the response is. So he can answer, "What is your name?" correctly. And he can answer, "How old are you?" He'll say, "I'm 4." And he also, I'm trying to think of a specific example. So spontaneous language, when he's handed something, instead of us prompting him to say thank you, he's at least some of the time started saying thank you. And then something else he did that was totally new. He got hurt outside and he ran in and gave me this huge hug specifically to seek my comfort. And usually what he would do before is if he gets hurt, he'll start crying and we obviously rush out and go comfort him, but he wouldn't seek us out for comfort. So it was the first time he'd specifically connected, "Oh, mommy is there and will be there to help me and comfort me." And it was a really beautiful moment for us. Other specific things, he always loved music. So it's not that he had never sung before, but he has been singing more and he has actually been doing songs with us. So that is a new thing, to actually do it at the same time as us and with us. So all this to say, these are positive changes that we have noticed. I will say too, we also started about a month after he started leucovorin, we did start a new therapy. So that contributes too. I'm not going to say it's 100% the leucovorin. Like, it helps when you're doing therapy and they're working really specifically on these skills. But I do think there were specific things such as the coming to seek comfort and more spontaneous language that I would connect timeline-wise to him starting the leucovorin. I was very excited and I had this feeling of willingness to do anything. And even initially, the pharmacy didn't have our correct insurance. So I think it was going to be like $200 or something when you get the text of like, "Oh, you owe this much and your prescription's ready." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I was like, "Okay, we're going to figure out how to do this. I want to try this for him. Worth it, whatever the cost." And luckily, we were able to update our insurance and the copay ended up being $5. And that is one of the really great things about this particular medication. It has been around for very, very long time for a totally different use, which was chemotherapy support. And so because it's been around a long time, there's the generic brand exists. It is something that I don't know what your copay will be with your insurance, obviously, but it is something that potentially can be very affordable, which is what I hope for anyone who's out there looking into this. So make sure whatever you do, you're talking to your doctor about your child and making the right decision as a medical team for your child. And one last note I didn't want to forget, you might be asked to cut dairy because there's been evidence that that makes the medication more efficient without dairy. So just something to keep in mind. That might be an actual lifestyle change that you need to do. I wish you so well with your journey. Again, I would love if you subscribe so you can follow along with our journey and hopefully learn some helpful things along the way.